All right, we're moving right along to our next speaker. We're going to have Andrew Howard up here on the stage. Knowing about the Federal Reserve since a young age, becoming a Marine and now a Marine veteran, now is accelerating Bitcoin adoption in Mexico. So we're going to hear from Andrew about what he's doing in Mexico and what he believes are ways that we can instill Bitcoin education and acceleration and education in our local communities throughout the world. So without further ado, let's have Andrew come on the stage here.
Thank you. Hey guys. All right, let's get started. So my presentation is called How to Bitcoinize Your Community. Goal of this is pretty much to take some of the things that we've found to be productive, and hopefully other people can kind of take the formula we have and apply it to wherever you're at. So I'll start talking about who I even am, why I'm here, what I'm doing. So my name is Andrew Howard. I'm CBO of Jan3. Our mission is to accelerate hyper-Bitcoinization. That's my Twitter, and that's my Nostr. Nostr's better than Twitter. And I refuse to call it X, by the way. Okay, so it all began in the Marine Corps, actually. I found out about Bitcoin in the Marine Corps. That's me. I joined at 17 years of age. That's me being basically brainwashed, raising my right hand, swearing oaths to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help me God. So my job in the Marine Corps was what's called the Recon Marine. And in a nutshell, it's one of the two elite jobs in the Marine Corps. In reconnaissance training, we have about 83% attrition rate of people who either quit or fail and don't make it in the process. Every day in reconnaissance training, you see this sign. It says, "Recon not for the weak or faint-hearted." So basically, I'm showing this to you so that way you understand that I was fully a cog in the machine. I really cared about protecting America. I wanted to fight for those that I loved, and my perspective on the U.S. military and how the U.S. military is funded was vastly changed in the Marine Corps. Okay, so it was super motivated at the time. That's my graduating class. It was some of the best times of my life, quite frankly. That's me and some of my closest friends. I had a fracture in my foot at the end of training. I can't even describe to you how badly I wanted to be in the military my entire life, serve my country. So that was some of the motivation there. And life was pretty good. You know, graduated reconnaissance training, went to battalion, had a lot of fun experiences. Went to about 6, 7 different schools and learned a bunch of cool stuff. So that's Mountain Communication School in California. That's Foreign Weapons Instructor course in Virginia. Had a great time, you know, shooting guns, jumped out of planes a few times. Life was good. I really wasn't thinking a whole lot about it. I thought I was doing a good thing. And then everything changed once I learned about this thing. Yeah. Started reading about what the Federal Reserve is, right? So it sounds like such a complicated thing, and nobody really cares about what the Federal Reserve is. So, you know, Red and the Fed by Ron Paul. Who here has read The Creature from Jekyll Island? Yeah, a fantastic book. That's a great book. I want to thank my dad for giving me that book, actually. Yeah, that'll change your life. And then I found out about this. So this is a book called War is a Racket, written by Smedley Butler. This is Smedley Butler. So basically, he was a Major General of the Marine Corps. And when you were in Marine Corps boot camp, you're taught about pretty much how badass the guy is. He was awarded not just 1, but 2 Medals of Honor. Highly decorated Marine, one of the most highly decorated Marines in all of history. It's funny because they conveniently leave out the part where he gets out of the military and writes an anti-war book. How funny is that? Wow, amazing. I'll read a quote by Smedley Butler. So he says, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, and bankers. War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. That's my new mission, okay? That's why I'm here. I'm tired of seeing my government pay for all these BS wars, getting a bunch of people killed for all these lies, basically. Yeah. You know, the way I see it, this is a matter of life and death. It really is, because if you have this institution which can print money whenever they want, pay for wars whenever they want, without the consent of their citizens, that's a problem. So this is my immediate mission. Again, CBO of Jan 3, working on Aqua Wallet as well. We want to spread Bitcoin to the world. We want to make this thing turn into a fruition and get people to defund these organizations, basically, and make the world a more peaceful place, right? That's what we all want. All right, so now that my background's over, we have a little rant there. That's done. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to explain some things that we already know. All right, so we'll take a step back. This is the first ever recorded, or first ever fiat currency recorded in history. It's called the Chinese Jiaozi. It was issued by the Song Dynasty in about the 11th or the 12th century. So it's easy to get caught up in this echo chamber we're in, right? I mean, not very many people go to Bitcoin conferences. On Twitter, on Nostr, we're all talking about how great Bitcoin is, but I don't think, you know, sometimes it's easy to forget how crazy it is of a thing that we're trying to do here. This is a problem, fiat currency, that's existed for a millennia, and then the monopoly on money that governments have had is an age-old problem. So this is a very big deal, what we're trying to do here. Very controversial, world-changing thing. You know, if Bitcoin succeeds, which we believe it will, it's going to vastly change how the Earth functions. All right, so an important thing to keep in mind, since January 3rd, 2009, fiat currency only has value because of our consent. Okay, we get that? Fiat only has value because of our consent. And maybe not our consent here, but society at large, by using dollars or pesos or yen or whatever, we are consenting to this thing. Now, going on to spending Bitcoin. So here's some FUD from no-coiners, FUD being fear, uncertainty, doubt. Bitcoin isn't money because you can't buy anything with it. We've all heard that, right? We've all heard that a lot. Now, I actually kind of agree with that. Bitcoin is not money yet. Bitcoin is an emerging form of money. It's money in El Salvador, because a lot of people are using it. It has some of the best monetary properties that you could possibly imagine. But what is money? So real quick, we all know what it is, but I'll restate. Money is a technology which serves three purposes. So store of value, medium of exchange, unit of account. Okay? And it enables us to avoid the problem of barter. You are here. You are at a store of value. Okay? So most people don't even own it. Growing numbers of people do own it, but you know, step 2 and 3, we're still in the process of that. All right, so here's some FUD from Bitcoiners. Bitcoin should be saved right now, and your grandchildren will suffer if you spend it, right? This thing is being monetized. We all know the story about the Bitcoin Pizza Day, where the guy spent 10,000 Bitcoins for a couple pizzas. So it's a valid point, but here's the reality. We are still controlled by fiat currency if Bitcoin cannot be used as a medium of exchange. In order to survive and live my life, if I have to sell my Bitcoin for dollars and then use those dollars to pay for stuff that I need to survive, the dollars still have some power over me. Okay, so that's a problem. And then second point is a growing number of Bitcoiners are choosing to hold zero fiat currency. I am one of them. I don't want their blood money. I don't want to hold it. I don't want to own it. I don't want to use it. I have, you know, if my bank they probably think I'm very broke right now because I have extremely minimal amounts of fiat currency in there. So, all right, so getting to the meat and potatoes. Here's the formula we found for trying to create a Bitcoin hub. All right, so first of all, you have other examples, right? You have Bitcoin Beach in Alzante, Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica, Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala, Praia Bitcoin in Brazil. There's a bunch more. Bitcoin Berlin, perfect example too. Pretty much the point is it seems to be conducive to adoption to find a small community, a small area and get people using Bitcoin in that area versus a really big city, right? So this is San Miguel de Allende. This is the first town that I moved to when I moved to Mexico from Los Angeles, or Gotham City, as I like to call it. Beautiful town, small town, and so why are we wanting to start a Bitcoin hub in San Miguel de Allende? A few reasons. So it's a large tourist town. It's safe. It's a small place, so there's 175,000 people there, and 10% of the population is expats. You'll find in Mexico that expats oftentimes own Bitcoin already. It makes sense because Bitcoin is borderless. It's easier to take with you when you go to a different country. And there are a lot of local businesses in San Miguel de Allende. In the United States, you drive down a street and you see all these big corporations, and Mexico's different. San Miguel de Allende is different. Much of the businesses there are owned by families. All right, so here's the first step, is start a meetup. All right, pretty obvious one. Start a meetup, get a community growing, get a group of people who want to use Bitcoin and learn about it. So this is our meetup that I started, Bitcoin Meetup San Miguel de Allende. And we usually have a pretty good group. At first it was, 20, 25 people. Last one we had about 40 or 45 people. So yeah, growing in numbers. One tip for a meetup, it's fun to hang out with Bitcoiners, right? But if you do have a meetup, it's a good thing to have a presentation every time. So that way, whoever goes to the meetup, they leave hopefully learning something new about Bitcoin. Doesn't have to be long, could be 20, 30 minutes, something like that, right? Have some sort of tangible knowledge being taught to people. All right, second step, talk to local businesses about accepting Bitcoin. Here's the problem. Most people don't care about Bitcoin. We do. We're here. We're at a conference in El Salvador right now. We care. But you talk to most people, they don't know anything about it. They don't care. They just want to make money in their business and live their life. And that's okay. Here's a big problem as well, is volatility. Okay, so if you're, especially in Latin America, if you're a merchant and Bitcoin, the price is changing a lot, and you are impoverished or you don't have a lot of money, Bitcoin price changing will affect you, and it will prohibit you from holding on to Bitcoin or wanting to, right, if you don't understand what Bitcoin is. So I would say this is the number one barrier preventing merchants from accepting Bitcoin. Now, what do we do about that? We need to provide merchants with the incentive to adopt it. All right, so I like this quote. I don't entirely agree with it, but I like it. So there are no bad people, just bad incentives. All right, merchants need incentives to embrace Bitcoin. Adoption cannot just be purely ideological. Now, I don't like the word because it seems like it can't turn into a reality, but we are very ideological people. We see the power of how Bitcoin can legitimately make this world a better place, but there need to be other incentives for the average person to embrace Bitcoin. So, what are the incentives for a merchant to accept Bitcoin? I got a few here. Immediate conversion of Bitcoin to fiat. I view this as crucial for most people who don't know what Bitcoin is or don't really care what it is, okay? Basically, the merchant should have the ability to receive it and then immediately have Bitcoin, or fiat in their bank account. All right, so publicity. You're going to have better marketing, right? We accept Bitcoin. You may have more customers coming in as a result of the publicity, so that's, some more incentive for the merchant. They make more money, right, by accepting Bitcoin. Lightning fees can be lower than credit card payments. That's a big one. And then lastly, I put on there bragging rights, right? So I accept Bitcoin. I'm a forward-thinking company, right? So they got bragging rights in there. If merchants have nothing to lose, they're more likely to embrace Bitcoin. Here are some examples of companies that can immediately help merchants convert Bitcoin to fiat. So you got IBEX, BTC Pay Server, great platform there, Bull Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Hubs. They help people in Mexico. And just talking about the publicity thing. So one thing we found with merchants is BTC Map. Where's Nathan at? Nathan, yes. There we go. I've said this so many times. It's one of those apps where you can't believe that nobody thought about this before because it's so useful. So it's basically a map where you can find merchants in your area that accept Bitcoin, right? So if they're on that map, they could potentially get more customers for their business. I want to give Bitcoin Hubs a shout out here. So basically, they are a company out of Mexico, and they're helping facilitate adoption in San Miguel de Allende. They've done a lot of good stuff. I'll mention one thing at the end here, which is pretty exciting. So one thing they have is they have a point of sale terminal. So they go to the merchants, they say, hey, here's a free terminal, and people can pay in Bitcoin now, and you don't have to worry about the price changing, and you immediately get fiat in your account. So you can pay in Lightning, and within 60 seconds, the merchant has fiat in their bank account. Now, obviously, guys, we want the merchant to hold on to Bitcoin, right? But that's a few steps away, all right? So 5 years from now, the merchant, if they do accept Bitcoin and they do convert it to fiat, they're probably going to be saying to themselves, dang it, I wish I held 10% of what I received in Bitcoin. I wish I didn't convert all of it, right? But these are baby steps, and this is a good first step. So some businesses here that accept Bitcoin in San Miguel de Allende that we've gotten. So we've got taxis, we've got restaurants, we just got a hotel. There's an adventure company, so you can take a hot air balloon and pay for it in Bitcoin. That's pretty cool. And my personal favorite, a mariachi band. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So some proof of work on Twitter. We're always posting about new restaurants that accept it. That's my jiu-jitsu gym, paid in Bitcoin there. That's a steakhouse. That's a pet store. That's the hot air balloon I mentioned, coffee shop, and then restaurant there. I paid for a huge glass of milk in Bitcoin the other day. It was really cool. Yeah, so, okay. What kinds of businesses do you want accepting Bitcoin in order to create a Bitcoin hub? You want lodging, somewhere to stay. You want restaurants, shopping, art, transportation. You want to have fun, right? So maybe some kind of entertainment, supermarkets, and then you want to be able to tip people in Bitcoin as well. All right, third step here, third and final step, is to work with local organizations. All right, so a lot of the success that Bitcoin hubs, and we've seen with getting businesses to accept Bitcoin, is actually through the Chamber of Commerce. And I'm surprised we haven't talked about this more, because it's a great network of businesses which kind of work in conjunction with each other. And just talking to these people at mass, you will probably find some success at getting merchants to accept it. So the Chamber of Commerce is a very good way to network and help people accept Bitcoin. Now, I made this announcement on Twitter, but I'll tell you guys here in case people aren't aware. Another local organization that we recently got to embrace Bitcoin is the University of Technology San Miguel de Allende. This is a public college, and Me Premier Bitcoin, starting November 13th, is teaching classes there, and this is for every single student in their entire curriculum. So every student that attends this public college in Mexico will graduate with a Me Premier Bitcoin certification. Yeah. So things are happening. All right, guys, conclusion. So here's our formula. Start a Bitcoin meetup. Talk to local businesses about accepting it. Give them incentives. And work with local organizations. So we got to meet people where they're at. We need to provide real-world incentives for merchants to embrace Bitcoin. And thank you very much. Appreciate you all. Cool.